Yeah, so the next one is kind of related to the anti-inflammatory type of diet. As Kelsey said, some versions of what will refer to themselves as an anti-inflammatory diet are just in line with a healthy pattern and will maybe promote certain foods that we do generally want to get more of. But there are some that stray more into the restrictive side of things. And one good example of that is the autoimmune protocol, which again, this feels like one that's just been kind of around forever and at varying levels of popularity over time. But I'd say I take bigger issue with this one for several reasons. One is that it's rather than suggesting focusing on certain foods, a lot of it is talking about restriction or removing a certain food. So commonly, it's going to be things like grains in general, gluten, sometimes specifically, or gluten containing grains, could be legumes. Sometimes it's common allergies like dairy, eggs, nuts, peanuts, tree nuts, a lot of things. Some go to other areas like nightshades, processed foods sometimes generally, which again, that's one that's in line with something we would promote, but not for those reasons. So kind of takes a very exclusionary approach to the diet, saying you need to remove all of these foods and all of these food groups to help your autoimmune symptoms, whether it be a diagnosed condition, whether it be something that is currently under investigation, whether it's just general symptoms that we don't know whether it's immune mediated or autoimmune, and it kind of just takes people that are in a vulnerable position where they're having some sort of ongoing issue or challenge or health problem, not finding answers thus far and applying the like, this is the answer. You need to follow this protocol to reduce your inflammation and feel better. So it appeals to people because people in this situation often have not received answers yet, whether it be because of the nature of their symptoms just not matching on to anything obvious. Maybe they're in the process of what will be a long process for diagnosis, takes advantage of people in those situations and says, like, this is the answer, kind of gives people a sense of control and like an answer to their problems and tells them to do this. There are a lot of issues that I take with this diet. One is that there are like 100 plus autoimmune or immune mediated conditions. So they're not all going to have a universal treatment to them. So if someone has, like, let's say, celiac disease versus some other condition, we're not going to say, like, let's say, yeah, people with celiac disease, we want to remove gluten from their diet due to an autoimmune condition. That doesn't mean that everyone with either every autoimmune condition or people with general symptoms all are going to see those same benefits. If we don't even have the information for a specific diagnosis, we can't confidently say, like, this is going to be the solution to all your problems. Some people have allergies, some people have different conditions where maybe certain food restriction is needed. And there are more detailed protocols for some of those conditions. But this kind of broad over application, saying that anyone with, again, whether or not it's diagnosed, whether or not we even know what is happening, it's kind of putting the solution before we even have identified what the problem actually is. And then it's saying that this is the solution to such a wide range of, again, 100 plus medical conditions. And often, of course, comes with like, buy my guide or my product or my type of foods that'll help with this or buy my supplement, and takes advantage of people in a confusing, vulnerable, unfortunate situation. And with some of these conditions, there are, for example, medications that are used for this, where some people will, in their online promotion, say, like, I have this natural alternative to these medications. But again, there's evidence is lacking when it comes to a lot of conditions. So there are medications that maybe you discuss with your doctor, like some different types of monoclonal antibodies, medications like that, where they do alter the immune system and try to respond to whatever the condition is doing to your body. These are very specialized and made for that particular purpose and have a lot of evidence and literally billions of dollars of research behind us getting to that level of certainty of how they work. Those are much more proven than some of these online alternatives that you might see. They're just like we talked about in some other episodes. There's nothing wrong with using medication to treat certain conditions where the evidence is there for that and other means just aren't working. And some of these websites and sources and people that promote natural alternatives to them, again, does not have very strong evidence. So main things here are that the autoimmune protocol is not a proven universal treatment for autoimmune conditions generally, and it is something that also kind of just takes away from the diet without providing alternatives. So that's why we'd say this is one that you may want to stay away from and search for guidance specific to the specific condition you have. And if, again, you don't have a diagnosis at this time, unfortunately, continuing along what can unfortunately be quite a long, confusing journey, that where their answers may come up at a later time, where we can then have treatment that is more certain to be helpful with whatever you're dealing with.
Sounds like something that would sell a good book.